Hello, I'm Gary.
Hello, I'm Leon, the grandfather.
And we are Gary and...
I forgot. Aha, kidding. The grandfather. You thought I had my grandfather moment, didn't you?
I wasn't going to say I know you don't like when if I say those things.
Yeah, no, don't be unkind. Don't be unkind. Okay.
Yeah.
So, what are we going to talk about?
Well, let's talk about art.
Art, eh? Yeah.
I like art.
Yeah, well, I think it fits into the season in a way because starting a new year and there's so many beautiful things to appreciate in the world, right?
Yeah, there
you know,
are.
really. And so it's kind of an artful time in a sense, you know. So, yeah.
Well, what kind of art do you like?
You know, when I was at school, I got to be quite interested in art, and I took quite a few art history classes, you know, very fascinating stuff. So I would say that I like all art, right, if you will, you know, and I really, because if you go back to Greco-Roman art that really kind of seems to focus on the body, all the way up to some of the modern art, you know, that I buy now, you know. All of it has a statement maybe of the times. One thing I've read about art, and I wonder if this is not true though, Gary, you know, that art reflects the civilization. So our art now is, I think, to the naked eye, unintelligible, really. You know, at least to me, it's confusing and distant and somewhat bizarre, and people will pay outrageous money for something that you would think a 3-year-old child could draw, right? Really, you know. So I think art, in a sense, has to, I guess, speak to you. But I think there's two types of art. You know, correct me if I'm wrong. In the modern idea, there's art, and then there's the art business. And I think the art business is probably like a lot of things. It's corrupted art, right?
Sure.
You know, so if you get into that, you know, if you get into that New York-based art scene, right? You know, and somebody says that, my God, this is art, you know, right? I think her name is Tracy Emin, and she did a bed, an unmade bed, right? And the bed eventually sold for hundreds of thousands, now probably millions of dollars. It's literally just an unmade bed.
Oh,
right?
No. Wait just a minute. Because I have a friend, and he was involved in doing a lot of modern art, things similar to this.
Okay.
I think
he didn't make his bed and he sold it?
No. I think one of the things, what he and some other people did, they took an abandoned factory.
Okay.
And they bought it, and they renovated it, and turned it into a cultural center with art studios, and then they had a stage installed for live music, concert shows, and things.
Fantastic.
And this was in a small town in rural America.
Yeah.
And they did this. It was a university town. It gave the students something nice they could do on the weekend instead of just going out to the bars and frat houses and getting drunk, and gave them something else that they could do. And this guy, one of his art projects was he took a bunch of wooden chairs and then stacked them up in almost like a pyramid or something, you know, in an area, and blocked it off, you know, and whatnot. And I think that,
what did he call it? A chair?
Maybe something like that. Yeah.
I thought.
But I think that it is. It's not fair to say, oh, it's just an unmade bed, or it's just a pile of chairs. I think that in this time, in this day and age, this really is. It could be considered art, I think.
Oh, why?
Why not?
No, but I think why is stronger than why not. The why not is because if somebody will buy it, but why would you designate it as art? Does it evoke some emotion when I see a stack of chairs or some unmade bed? Does that do something for me?
Oh, it could.
What? Like, oh gosh, I should go home and make my bed. I better put my chairs in order at home. I don't want my chairs stacked up. And what, you know what I'm saying? And I take your point.
Well,
But
for
I don't
example,
get it.
okay, we'll take the chairs for example.
Okay.
So maybe the chairs are set up in a way, kind of like a, kind of not too dissimilar to maybe you're going into like a abandoned building or a storage locker or something, and that they're all just shoved in there. Or you go into an antique shop,
So
and so it could conjure feelings of
chaos,
or feelings of
disorder.
disorder. Well, now you just put words in my mouth, but yeah, it could conjure up emotions.
That my mother would be angry for me for stacking the chairs in the wrong way. No, I take your point, but is this art?
Yes.
So art is anything.
No.
Well, then, what are the
Well,
parameters?
would it be art? Air? I don't think air would be art.
Air could. Why not? You know, you get a box.
Well, what do you mean?
You get.
No, why would be the better question.
But I
Did you
was,
see what I did there?
you're very clever. I was at a museum the other day, and they had newspapers
Yeah.
in the ceiling and on the walls.
Yeah.
And that's all it was. It was a room covered in newspapers on the ceilings and on the walls.
Uh-huh.
Is that art?
What did the newspaper say?
Or I didn't read the newspapers.
Oh, you didn't?
No, I wasn't.
So maybe you missed the message.
Or maybe there was a message in it. There we are. I didn't understand. That was my fault. I didn't brush
Maybe
up.
you missed.
But I think the art business has done a tremendous job here of changing the way we perceive art. You know, because the original, after the war, pop art, Andy Warhol, right? He's the, you know, modern art, beginning of modern art, I think, probably. Well, he was funded by a man known as Leo Castelli. He was his agent, and Leo Castelli was from Trieste. He was a little man, well dressed, always, you know, ex-banker or something, and he spoke with an accent, you know, and it was he was your image of a gentleman, and he said that Andy Warhol, this is art, and away it went, you see, and then the art business took off from that, from the agents selling the art. It's only really recently that the artist has gained control of his art again to some extent, right? You know.
Well,
right? Mark Rothko's daughter, right? You probably know the story. Mark Rothko committed suicide, right? And his art dealer was actually stealing the Rothko paintings. It wasn't really stealing, but he was taking them to his own gallery, and they were re-evaluating them, and he was keeping the profits. So Rothko's daughter, his son was 9 years old, his daughter was 18. His daughter got a lawyer, went to court, and won the case. And after that, kind of shocked the art world, supposedly. And after that, the artist gained more control over his art, right? You know, and now maybe it's gone the other extreme, you know, Damien Hirst and the whole thing,
well,
right?
Well, that's the art business.
That's right.
But I think we should think again about art. The art in itself.
Well, chairs stacked up aren't
So-
art, dear.
Well,
Gary, they're not art.
what did you call me?
Yeah,
Did you call me my brother's name?
yeah, I'm sorry. I always do that. Yeah. I thought you missed it, actually.
No,
I was very impressed.
So you had that time, and you had earlier.
Yeah, I know.
You know, I'm getting a little scared. Are you?
Yeah.
Are you?
Yeah.
Are you really? I really don't want to do this.
You don't have to.
Are you?
No, I'll answer the question. No, I'm fine.
Okay, I'm just getting a little worried there.
Check.
You know. Well, but anyways, you know, well, one of my friends, good friend of mine, he's a graffiti artist.
Yeah, I can believe that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So would you consider graffiti to be art?
Well, I think so. Absolutely. You know, the Banksy and the boys. Oh,
Yeah,
sure.
yeah,
Because they're making a statement,
Mhm.
some statement. You know, some statement artistically. But I don't know if a bed is a statement.
Well, suppose
Or
you're just tagging trains. Would
Yeah.
that be considered art?
Well, there we are. Good question, eh? You know,
Or not?
well, yeah. I would say no. Tagging a train is not art because the intention is not art. You know,
Well, what would you say the intention is?
just to tag the train with a logo, so you can keep your gang, get your gang area controlled. I think that's what I've read at least. Right. So I don't know if that's art. Right.
But you know, that's not. I don't think that's necessarily entirely accurate, because according to my friend, the objective. Well, they were. Well, first off, they didn't call it gangs. It would be his crew. You know, they weren't doing like dealing drugs or anything like that. It's just tagging and doing artwork, graffiti.
Wow.
And
Kind of cool, really.
Yeah.
Did it get caught?
Well, he said he only got caught once.
Wow.
And this was because the police chased him, and he outran them, but he turned down the wrong street, and there was this was in Holland, and his only option was, you know, jumping into the canal or surrender, and he didn't feel like he had his wallet, his phone, everything. He wasn't going to. He didn't feel like jumping in, so surrendered. Didn't talk. Spent a night in jail, and then
let him go.
Yeah, I think he said he used his one phone call to call his employer. Said he wasn't coming in the next day.
Did they actually see him do it? Or they suspected he did?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But he said that one of their goals of his crew, or for a lot of the local graffiti crews that were tagging trains and stuff, he said was to tag it at a time where the train had to run. You know, because usually what they would do, if they saw the train was tagged, they would then just select another train or another car or swap it out or something, or so they could clean it off. So he said the thing was, if you were really, really good, you could tag it, and you do it at a time where you knew the schedule, where they wouldn't be able to replace it, so that your logo would be, you know, floating around, circulating around the city. Okay. You know, for a couple hours.
But that's different, I think, than gang-related tagging I've read.
This was, you know, a bit different.
That is art. I would say that is art.
art.
That's probably some type of performance art, you know. Yeah, really. I mean, I believe that's art. But I think you would agree with me, Gary, that art itself has to have an intention. So if the artist that you're describing with the chairs, I've seen art like this actually, and if his intention is to make a statement of whatever it is, chaos or disorder, something, then I think yes, I take my words back. But if it's just nonsense, which some of modern art seems to be, and it's being exploited by the gallery owners, then I think we have to be a little suspect.
But who's to say that it is? Who's to say it's nonsense or not? Who's really to say that? Because you don't know the artist's intention.
That's right. And but the art dealer says that it's brilliant. You know, like I think Basquiat. You know, this man who said he's done the skull. You've seen that. Now he's dead now, but he sold Basquiat. He sold was a Haitian American, and they sold the skull for I think 500 million or something. Just stunning money, and he signed very little of his art. So his family now have formed, if you will, a vetting company, and so they say because other people have tried to copy him, so they say no, that's an original Basquiat, right? Whether it is or not doesn't matter, and there's hundreds of millions of dollars associated with this man. So is that art? I guess so, but it's been exploited.
Well, but I think something about art, which I think is really this is something a reason I like modern art quite a bit. I was talking with one of my colleagues the other day, and I was drawing some pictures and whatnot, and my colleague says to me, she asks, "Oh, I see you doing some doodling there, drawing. Do you like drawing?" I said, you know, if I'm bored, maybe I'll do some drawing, or I like to do painting, and whatever. And she said, "Well, I don't like it. I don't like to draw." I said, "Why?" I said, "Everybody, as children, everyone likes to draw."
Yeah,
I
for sure.
said, "Why?" And she said, "Because I'm no good at it." And I said,
No such
Well,
thing.
"Well, do abstracts."
Yeah.
I said, "Who's to judge if it's good or not? Do an abstract. Put your emotion in. That it's not really that, like, where is this concept of this is good art, this is
Bad art.
bad art? I've seen plenty of works which are supposed to be good pieces, and I look at it, I think, well, that's not to my taste. For example,
Mm-hmm.
it's just the same with music. Maybe I hear somebody playing guitar and they're singing, and I know that they're talented, but if it's not to my taste, it doesn't matter how talented they are.
True.
And I think the same is with art. You know, who are we to really judge? This is good. That's
For sure.
not
No,
good.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you. I think we have to say that we're essentially ignorant. I mean, I know a tiny bit of history of art, but it's nothing in comparison to the whole body of what art is, right? At all, for sure. So I agree with you. But I do think it is down to the intention of the artist to a certain extent. What are they trying to express, and are they doing it adequately? Right.
Well, I think that's what art needs to be about: expression of the self, of the soul, the emotion. And I think as soon as you start doing it, well, as with anything, as soon as it's just about the money, I think it really, you know, the situation changes. Yeah, you need to do your job to put food on the table. But if the only reason you're doing it, I mean, take musicians again. There's, yeah, they want the money, of course.
Yeah.
But at the same time, for a lot of those guys, well, the reason we're not musicians, I have a friend who's a musician. And I watched what he was doing to train to become a musician. I say, well, he used to work as a chef, you know, cook as a day job, and he'd be reciting the guitar chord scales as he was chopping up the carrots or whatever. And I thought, well, I don't have that much passion for music to be doing that, and that's why he's now professional and I'm not. And I think that, so yeah, of course, the people they need to do it for money, sure. But a lot of the people who are doing it is also because it's their passion,
For sure.
their interest.
At the beginning, for sure.
And as soon as it
becomes
becomes
a
solely
business,
about the money,
it's
that's
gone.
that's totally different.
Apparently, Russian art, right, interesting, and Russian literature for that matter, after the revolution, after the 1917 revolution, art declined in Russia because they didn't have the stress, right?
Really?
Yeah, they didn't have the anger at the Tsar, as such, and so their literature declined. wasn't as supposedly wasn't as good as the 19th and 18th centuries.
Wow.
Yeah, it didn't have that existential angst that the system produced. They had a new, fear, and eventually you get people like Solzhenitsyn, maybe at the end of the Soviet period. But so I thought it's interesting. So we need some stress, some societal stress to produce art.
Yeah,
basically.
I believe that
You do,
for
right?
sure.
Yeah. Well, that's why the art has gone so very strange now, because we are under a lot of pressure.
Yeah, probably.
What do you think of digital art?
Digital art.
Yeah, generated by the computer and by images on a screen. I was recently at a museum and they had they had essentially computer-generated art. It was very unique, you know, with the the blobs on the screen, and they move around, and images come in, and they get wah 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 at the same time, and and lights flash and what have you. It was really quite the psychedelic experience. But I don't know, would that be art?
I guess in a sense it would be. I guess in a sense it would
Not
be.
to my taste at all. Not at all. A zero. Like I need a picture on a wall or something.
Yeah, well, I think that's the. Yeah, I'm more of a, a physical type guy as well.
Yeah.
I like physical objects, paintings or sketches or whatever. So sculptures. So yeah, I feel the same. It's probably not for me, but I guess in that modern sort of way, yeah, I guess it would be art.
Ken Robinson, man who wanted to, is dead now, of course, this last year, I guess, but Ken Robinson always said that, that we should be promoting art, the teaching of art in our school system, because that produces creativity and imagination, which we desperately need as a people, and we're increasingly lacking this because we're focused on our goal, which could be a test or get a job or something, but we're losing that kind of magical expression that was art. It should be art in that sense, right? And how many times have you heard as a teacher that you see somebody who's very good at art, and you'll ask them, "Hey, are you going to study painting?" Or, no, there's no money in painting, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just heartbroken when I hear this.
Oh, I totally agree.
So if everyone suddenly becomes a bureaucrat or God knows what it is, then where's the world going to go? It's going to be awfully bland in the future.
Well, you know what I heard, a few weeks back, that I saw a guy busking in the street, probably, I think he was probably homeless, and he had a harmonica there, he was sort of like threw a quarter in the jar or whatever, and just watch him play. I noticed he just kept playing the same song over and over again.
Well,
I said to him, well, if you play another song, I'll give you, I'll raise
the fee.
the amount. I'll give
The
you some
bonus.
and
he only knew one song.
well, he only knew one song, and but he had 3 other harmonicas there. So he had 4 harmonicas, and harmonicas come in different keys.
Yeah.
So if he has 4 harmonicas, I'm thinking, well, surely he knows something on them, or why does he have so many harmonicas? And finally, this other woman, she comes up to me and she says, don't bother with him, He's just an idiot. He doesn't know he never studied music. He doesn't know how to play other songs. Don't waste your time and waste his, just... And I looked at her, I said, well, why does he have to have studied music to play? I said, if he knows 3 chords, a C, a G, and an E or something.
An A or whatever.
I said, he could just mix them up in a different order, create a new song on the fly, and I said, what do you mean? Just the idiot, And I just, I found the whole thing to be quite appalling.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think we have no respect in our society. I mean, somebody must have asked you, what did you study? And if you say, I never went to school, never went to university, they go, oh, well. And yet, seemingly, there's a tremendous amount of people that go to university who never should even enter the doorway, because they're not university types.
Yeah.
They should be plumbers or electricians or car mechanics or something useful to the society, not some degree. And the big one now is international trade. If I hear this again, I'm going to choke. What did you study? International trade or international business or business?
That's my thing, man. That's my thing.
Useless. You got to experience it.
Well, actually, you mentioned mechanics. Now this will be the question: is this art or is this not art? I have a friend who's a mechanic,
Wow.
and his specialty is another Dutch guy. His specialty is bicycles.
Wow. He repairs them?
Yeah. So what he'll sometimes do on the side is he'll take scrap metal and make his own bikes, custom frames,
Wow.
and
Wow.
like these really
Wow.
wicked bikes where they look like something you'd see in a circus or something. You know, the way they're so out of proportion. And then he has some friends who actually take him and ride him.
Wow.
You know, ride him around the city. And with those bikes, would you consider that to be art?
No.
No. Why
No.
not?
No, because it's a created product. It's a product, right?
Product.
Product. But I mean, a popular guy.
Ah, well, yeah. I guess it's a late night. I should let you go then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Could talk
Well,
about this forever.
Yeah, we
It's
should
pretty
really get
interesting.
going.
Yeah.
Well, you know what they say. Good night, Gary.
Good night, Leon, the grandfather.
Bless you. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.